Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for this special event, Reversing the Effects of Sitting Through Yoga. I'm really excited to welcome you all and to welcome our guest teacher, Cate Silberberg, who is one of our very own. She's a Hopkins grad, and she's also an alumni leader down in the Hampton Roads community. So she's going to be leading us through some educational part or information about yoga and the stretches that we do, and also showing us some stretches. And just a reminder, we welcome questions. So please feel free to drop any questions you may have in the chat to all panelists, and we'll answer those as we go. So in a typical yoga class, you might be too invested in the pose that you're in to raise your hand and ask your teacher. This is a little different. You can do that. You can ask us questions, and Cate will be answering them as she goes. So I'm going to kick it off to Cate and let her introduce herself, and we can get started.
Thanks, Leah. It's an honor to be here. I can't thank you guys for just registering from all the different places that you may be nice and comfortable in a coffee shop or a house or wherever you may be. And the fact that we can do this from all over the world is pretty amazing to me. So I really do feel like I'm in a room with all of my classmates, and I'm back in school, and we are learning and growing and expanding our knowledge together as we go. So I have been taking yoga for 20 years. I was certified as a certified yoga teacher for my 200 hour in 2013. And it really took me out of physical therapy and back into physical fitness. It was a real life-changing event for me in that it just really healed a back injury that I had from childbirth, and I never looked back. So I've been studying. I'm currently a 500-hour candidate, and I'm bringing to you a lot of the knowledge that I've gained from my 500-hour candidate program. So I'm always open for questions throughout this entire presentation. Leah is going to help me facilitate if I don't see it. We'll both be looking for them. And please feel free to dialogue. So we are here to learn from each other. And there may be a lag. So I know we're all in different locations. Please let myself or Leah know if I need to go slower with the slides, just to make sure there isn't a lag, or if you're not seeing a particular slide. So I researched a few medical studies. And what I'm going to show you today is really what we call evidence-based yoga through medical studies. I did a quick search of PubMed.com, and PubMed is official quantifiable studies. So these have been published. They're quantifiable in that they had to select a minimum number of people to prove the theory that they're trying to prove is actually true. So anybody can go to PubMed. They will give you an abstract. You can search on any medical study, and they will give you an abstract that you can get the general idea of the purpose of the study. And they give you the option to purchase it as well. You can also email or get the contact information of the individuals that did the study and potentially email them, and they might send it to you for free. If you send them a few compliments, tell them how much you want to learn more about what they're doing, they might just go ahead and send it to you for free. All right, so I am still learning how to manipulate Zoom. There we go. Okay, so how I get rid of that arrow, I have no idea right now. Study number 1. So we're looking at human postural control. Leah has these slides, so all the links to these articles are in the slide for anybody that wants some. So studies of postural control and how we stand in space has been around since ancient Greece, really long time. So this particular study of postural control is specifically looking at our balance and equilibrium and how muscle tone and contractions actually affect our posture. So posture is maintained by tonic muscle contractions acting against gravity and stabilizing the position of body segments. So right here, they're proving that muscle contractions acting against gravity. This particular study goes into how all of us on this planet are affected by the Earth's gravitational force. It's what keeps us on the ground. So this also affects our posture, and it's a very unseen, and we can't really feel it, but it's there. Our last bullet says anti-gravity support in humans is partly provided by passive bone-on-bone forces. That's basically how our bones are put together and structured. In joints, here's my favorite line, stretched ligaments and muscles. That's yoga right there. And also requires active contraction in lower limb, trunk, and neck extensors. In summary, what this study is saying is that for us to maintain our balance and our proper postural control, we need to stretch our ligaments and muscles as well as actively contract and work our muscles. Proven study here. So study number 2, the effect of different standing and sitting postures on trunk muscle activity in a pain-free population. So these are you and me, anybody, doesn't really have any injuries. And this is just basically saying, how is standing and sitting affecting our muscle activity? So first we'll read it and then we'll understand it. Clinical observations indicate that adopting passive postures such as, I apologize because such as sway standing and slump sitting can exacerbate pain in individuals with low back pain. These individuals often present with poor activation of the lumbar pelvic. We'll look at the lumbar spine in a minute, and the pelvic region. So I think it's interesting how they combine those particular two terms. So of the lumbopelvic stabilizing musculature, so the lumbar spine, the hips, and the pelvic muscles, I went ahead and added that just for exemplification there. So what is the conclusion? The findings show that the lumbopelvic stabilizing muscles is active in maintaining optimal aligned erect postures, and that these muscles are less active during the adoption of passive postures. We're going to look at some passive postures and how they can affect us over time. The results of this study lend credence to the practice of postural retraining when facilitation of the lumbar pelvic stabilizing musculature is indicated in the management of specific spinal pain conditions. Very medical, very technical, but once again, it's medically proving that postural retraining is needed to stabilize the lumbar spine and the pelvic region. We're going to look at the muscles that support that particular skeletal area. And this is just for healthy individuals, pain-free population. Study number 3. So before we get to study number 3, everybody should be seeing a slide that says, our bodies shape the way we move it. So if we're posturing ourselves for whatever reason is going on in our mind, and we're leaning back, and we're always leaning back, you're going to have a sway back here. So there's a natural curve. So if we look at the first guy on the left, his first posture, and we look at sway back, he's got that curve in his lumbar spine. It's called lordosis. So you can have exacerbated lordosis, which means an over-exaggeration of the lumbar spine, because we feel like standing that way. And if we consistently do that over time, that's how we're moving our body. That's the shape our muscles are going to take. Then if we look at lumbar lordosis, that's the opposite direction. That's sticking your tailbone out, our second guy, a little bit too far, allowing the core muscles here to sag forward, so there's no engaging of the core here. Then we move over to kyphosis. We have a natural curve, if I had a skeleton, and it's in our third guy here, that's chordosis, the natural curve. The thoracic kyphosis is the thoracic spine, and it's over exaggerated. So that is a hunching of the shoulders, and it's a protrusion of the upper back. Notice also the head. If you look at forward head, sitting at a desk all day, if we lack awareness of how we are sitting in space, we may be jutting our head forward. And if you jut your head forward, you can see forward head, your muscles back here are going to start training your posture to be in that direction all the time if we keep doing that. And then we have our good posture, our good student, and this gives you a visual of our alignment. Hips aligned over ankles, shoulders aligned over hips, top of the head aligned over shoulders, hips, and ankles. So let's look at our study number 3, habitual body posture and mountain position of people practicing yoga. Scientific study. There are many scientific studies on how exercise and yoga can improve our muscle structure and posture. So let's see. In the physical exercises of yoga, Hatha yoga, the mountain pose is a basic arrangement of the body involving, among other things, active extension of the spine in the vertical axis. So we saw, imagine our guy, he was a vertical axis, and symmetrical arrangement of individual elements of the body. The aim of the study was to compare the difference between this posture and the relaxed stance in people doing Hatha yoga. Those who had been doing yoga longer and those who devoted more time to exercise per week were characterized by more correct body stance. The physical exercises of yoga shape the habit of correct stance. The arrangement of the body in the mountain pose in the light of the criteria of correct posture may be regarded as optimal. I think they studied about 25 people here. And once again, it's showing active extension of the spine on the vertical axis, and the symmetrical arrangement is actually organizing the muscles of the body correctly, engaging the muscles in the vertical posture that we want to maintain as we grow, as we age, and as we grow older. Okay. Any questions so far?
We don't have any yet, but just a reminder to everybody that if you have questions, you can just drop them in the chat and we will get them over to Kate so she can answer them for you.
Awesome. So now we are going to look at the major muscles supporting sitting. I probably sit at a desk 6 hours a day. So my full-time career is cybersecurity, and my part-time fun jobs are teaching yoga and exercising. So I am sitting at a desk 6 to 7 hours a day. So let's look at the neck. I'm going to introduce you guys to my friend John here. So I don't know if there's any lag, but we are in the Essential Anatomy app right now. You can download this on your phone. You can download it on your computer. And really neat app. Actually, I think it's up to version 5. It might be at a later version. So let's look at the neck muscles. Just going to navigate to, there we go. So let's look at our platysma. Our platysma, as you can see, spans from the chin all the way down, kind of like a corset, a lace Victorian corset or a turtleneck. And as you can see here, it is right and left, all the way, goes all the way down to the shoulder head, all the way down here, and goes right and left. The other major neck muscle that we want to look at is the sternocleidomastoid muscle here. You can see these on everybody right here. So these are tight. They can cause a headache. As you can see, that is connecting all the way up to the base of the skull there. And then we've got our semispinalis. This is actually being, if you're forward leaning with your head, you're using that muscle to push your head forward. So what we want to do is push back and relax that muscle and reverse that action when we do some of our exercises. Then you've got the splenius capitis, left and right. And this, our buddy here just gives us an idea of what's underneath. What does it look like when we're stretching? And it helps us connect our mind to our body. He's got a big smile on it. Let's look at the shoulder muscles, major shoulder muscles. Pectoralis, right here, pectoralis major. So if your pectoralis is tight, and if your muscle is tight, it shortens. So what's going to happen if your pectoralis is shortening? It's actually pulling your shoulder forward if it's tight. Then we've got a complementary deltoid muscle here. Looks like a football cuff. And now let's look at the back, allowing us to mentally and visually connect to the muscles in the upper back shoulder. So infraspinatus, teres minor, and teres major. So if we, let's see, want to rotator cuff. Let's see. No, no. Okay, so here you see the rotator cuff muscles. So supraspinatus, and you can see how that goes from the spine all the way to the top of the shoulder head. You've got the infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. These four muscles are what make up the rotator cuff. And as you can see, they are shaped like a cuff around the shoulder head. So let's look at the back muscles. We've hit the major shoulder muscles. And we're really only going to touch one major back muscle here. And I would love for you guys to have audio because I would love to hear some answers. But these are your trapezius muscles. And when you look at this guy, it's huge. So the trapezius muscle goes from the base of the skull out to the shoulder heads and down, all the way down to the thoracic spine. So opening up and relaxing those back muscles are going to support our posture erect in space. Now let's look at the hip. We're targeting the major muscles for standing and sitting posture. There we go. So what is supporting the hip? Psoas major. As you can see, this connects to the lumbar spine here, all the way down to the hip flexor. It comes down and across the hip bone there. Then you've got your iliacus, sartorius, tensor fasciitis, gluteus medius, and gluteus maximus. So all of these hip muscles right here affect our alignment. And we want the alignment of our hips to be in line with our ankle, in line with our shoulder, in line with the top of our head. So the last group of muscles we're going to cover today are the stomach muscles. There we go. We're keeping it simple. We only have an hour, but as you can see, those muscles stretch from right around the breastbone. You have your side obliques here, your external abdominal oblique on either side. And what we do mostly with the stomach muscles, we have strengthening, contracting that muscle, as well as stretching that muscle. And as you can see, the front, the strength of your core is going to support your back muscles. So strengthening your core is going to balance out the back. What everybody should see in this presentation is that equal attention should be put to the back body muscles that support sitting and standing, to the front body muscles. All right. So we covered the neck, platysma left and right, like a turtleneck, sternocleidomastoid. We looked at those. Shoulders, pectoralis major, deltoids, rotator cuff, back. We looked at the traps, core, obliques, hips, psoas major, iliacus, rectus femoris, gluteus medius. Nobody's going to be quizzed on this. Just giving you guys a visual. So when muscles are tight or tense, they shorten. As you can see, I am tense up here a lot. For some reason, I carry a lot of tension up here. I think a lot of people do. When muscles are stretched, they lengthen. The optimal position for muscles, front, back, side to side, is neutral. To maintain neutral, we need to bring our awareness to how we're sitting and how we're standing and how we are supporting our posture every day. So let's see. Okay. I put together some bullets here for proper sitting posture. The link is backintelligence.com. And keep your pelvis neutral with your glutes against the back of your chair. Keep your ears and your shoulders and your hips aligned. Are they aligned? Maintain the normal low back curve. And if you don't have support in your chair, you can put a back support just to allow you to maintain that natural lower back curve. Keep your hips and your knees at 90 degrees. Evenly distribute your weight over both hips. Avoid leaning to one side. We're all going to be moving around when we're sitting. We have to lean over to pick up the phone. We turn our heads. We talk to people. We move. We do all kinds of things. So this is more bringing awareness to when we are having to do long hours or long periods of time on the computer, sitting in the chair, reading, looking, studying, those types of activities. So keep both feet flat on the ground. If your chair is too high, use a footstool. Bring the floor up to you. Keep your forearms parallel with the floor, resting on your desk. Place your computer monitor 18 to 24 inches from your face, the top third of the monitor at eye level. So hopefully we all have control over these things. If you're far-sighted, or is it nearsighted? If you're far-sighted, I get confused as to which one it is. And you're straining to see the screen and you're leaning your head forward, that's awareness. So that's something that either you may want to have an eye appointment, look at your glasses, see, check your eyes out, or move your screen closer to you. Ask if you can get a monitor that moves. That's what I have at work. Regularly check your head, that it's not protruding forward. And take periodic breaks. Stretch out. Stretch out. Just whenever you can take a break. We're going to go through some stretches. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to transition into a yoga class. So I'm going to walk you through stretches for the neck, the shoulders, the back, the core, and the hips. These are the major muscles that we use while sitting and standing to maintain our correct posture. So if you have a yoga mat, if you want to get comfortable, sit on your yoga mat, please feel free to do that. If you want to just listen and learn, feel free to do that. So you can make this segment of the presentation what you like, but please feel free to just put yourself in the yoga class mind, and we're going to walk through some positions. All right. I am going to try to figure out how to go to full screen. Let's see. I think I just stopped the share. Stop the share for a moment. Okay. All right, so I'm at full screen. I'm going to walk everybody through some neck stretches. So if you're on your yoga mat, you could be in a seated position, or you can be sitting in a chair. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our right arm, and as you can see, it's internally rotated to the back of my hand. And I'm going to take the back of my hand and put it in that small curve in my back. Sitting back, putting some pressure on that hand, and just take the mind's eye to the right shoulder and see how that shoulder feels. Feel free to close your eyes. Take some inhales through the nose, exhales through the nose. You can keep your mouth closed, or you can have an open breath. Okay. Let's see if I can go. Okay. All right. Let's see if I can go a little bit farther back. Yeah. All right. So I'm sitting in the chair. I'm taking my hand. Now, the farther you walk your fingers to the opposite side of your back, the deeper you will feel the stretch in the right shoulder. So right here is our shoulder head, opening up those shoulder muscles. And this is the end of your collarbone. So take your collarbone and see if you can press it back. Now let's have fun with this, and we're gonna get into a Greek god or goddess posture here. Imagine you're in an art studio and you have to pose. Somebody's going to paint you. And we're really just gonna twist at the neck, opposite of the arm. Inhale and exhale. See how far you can twist your chin to the opposite shoulder. And then look up. Tilt your head up and back. Now the art of yoga here is to breathe. Relax in the breath. And with every exhale, we're surrendering to gravity here. And you should be feeling the stretch all the way down the neck muscle to the shoulder head. We're actually getting some of the back muscles here. All right, so let's just turn the head back to center. Release the arm. See how that feels. And let's do the other side. Once again, I'm internally rotating my left arm. back of my hand, and I'm going to take it, and you can take it here. If you have a shoulder injury, if you've got something going on there, that's your best teacher. No teacher is going to be able to tell you what's happening within your own body. So this may be where your stretch is today. If you feel that you can take your hand farther behind the spine, I'm feeling this right along here, opening up some of my shoulder muscles. And then I can even take it farther, and I just felt a crack and a pop. Breathing through it, relaxing. If you feel any pain, pinching, stretching that hurts, always back out of it. So go where you feel comfortable going today, and then turn your head in the opposite direction. Take your Greek posture here, open up your collarbones. So you're using your back muscles to actually contract, open up the collarbones, and then tilt your head up. So as you can feel, you're going to feel the outer neck muscle here with a nice stretch. Breathing into that and just relaxing. And just imagine that you're sitting at your desk at work. How can we bring this into our normal day-to-day self-care? So maybe somebody comes and walks by. You're like, oh, I'm just going to stretch my arm out. You can turn and you can talk to them like this and be doing a yoga stretch at the same time. We all want to be multitaskers, right? All right, so let's release that arm. And we are going to now just take our chin and lift it up. So reach your chin as far up as you can. Shine your face to the ceiling. Imagine the sun. Imagine. Take some nice deep breaths. And just open up those neck muscles. Exhale, bring the chin back to center and open your eyes. And then from here, we can just take some head twists and just imagine your chin connecting to your outer shoulder head. So just turn to the right and let go of the visual of the teacher. Sometimes it's nice to just listen to the cues. Turn your head and your chin. Imagine your chin is connected with a string to the outer left shoulder. And really turn your head so that it's twisting. Now from here, we're going to do some head circles. So just drop your chin down and then lift it up. We're doing a semicircle, a crescent moon shape with the chin. Taking a deep inhale and then exhaling. Take another semicircle. Feeling the opening of that neck. This feels wonderful. I've been sitting all day writing and working at my desk. And just take your time. Enjoy the movements. And back to center. So now we're going to integrate the shoulders in our stretching. And as you know, we have a community of muscles. So the neck shoulders are connected to the shoulder muscles. So as we work on our shoulder muscles, we also are going to open up some of our neck muscles. And let's have fun with it. So let's just take our hands behind our head here and pull the tips of your elbows back and just press the back of your head into your hands. Favorite pose here, you could just imagine yourself on the beach, some kind of concert, grassy lawn. Close your eyes And then you can start to move your head. If you lift your chin here and press the back of the head in your hands, you're further opening up the pectoralis muscles. So while we are pressing our outer elbows out, opening up our pectoralis muscles, we are contracting our trapezius muscles, working the back muscles. This is very gentle. However, that action is there. Let's inhale, bring the head back to neutral, and then we're going to take our fingertips on our shoulders here. So right here, we're going to touch our elbows together and then open them wide. Lift the elbows while they're wide and then take them farther back and just touch the elbows together and open them wide. Touch the elbows together. Just have fun with that and open them wide. If your elbows don't touch, that's okay. Everybody's body is different, and this should be allowing you to feel when the elbows are back, the opening of the pectoralis muscles. When the elbows are closed, the stretching of the trapezius muscles. So not only are we getting some lengthening in our shoulders and our pecs, we're also working our trapezius muscles. Another stretch you can do at home is you can actually, as you can see, I have a door behind me. You can just lift your arms to the top of the door and lean forward. So your hands will be behind the door jamb, and then just lean forward. You're going to shine your sternum forward, and it's going to be a nice opposite opening of the shoulder. So everybody can just lift their arms up now. Take a deep inhale, you can lift them up higher. And then exhale, you can relax your traps and just mentally connecting to the muscle structure. Having visuals allows us in our mind's eye to connect to the body part that we're stretching. So we're going to lower our hands down. Now I'm actually going to go back to the presentation. And I see quite a bit of chat. Okay, no worries. That is Savasana. So lying in your bed is supine, completely supine. And it is a relaxed state. So if you have any overcurvature of the lower spine or of the upper spine, just based on the mattress, and any pain indicators that you have waking up. I actually have hip pain when I wake up frequently, so I am making adjustments to how I'm sleeping. Okay. All right, so we're all caught up here. So I'm going to go back to our slides. And we've done yoga for the neck, yoga for the shoulders. And the last one for the shoulders that I want to show everybody is interlacing your fingers behind your back. So we're going to interlace our fingers and our hands behind the back. So as you can see, I have them behind. And then just pulling them down. So you can grab your fingers, pull them down, and lift them out. Just taking a couple of breaths there. Becoming more self-aware. Notice what you're feeling. So let's look at yoga for the back. A very common yoga posture is child's pose. So if you have your mats, you can get down on your knees, use the visual in the presentation, and you can take your knees wide and keep your feet together. And then you can stretch your arms out in front of you in child's pose, or as in the picture, you can take them down by your side. And as we've demonstrated, we're stretching two different parts of the shoulder, and you could do both. Notice how she's resting on her forehead, and rest on your forehead. Take a couple of soothing breaths there. Just enjoy the change of position. If you plan to do this later, these visuals in the slides can help you properly get into the position. So from child's pose, move into a tabletop position, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And why is this called cat-cow? Very much like what animals do. So as we inhale, the top image is a cow, sway back cow. So when you look in the field, you're inhaling, expanding the breath all the way to the lower belly, lifting your tailbone high, lifting your chin, lifting your head. Now, as you empty the air out of the belly, exhale it completely out. Push down on the hands, moving into cat. Reach the upper back to the ceiling, pull your tailbone in, and pull your chin in. So you're almost as if you're trying to just crunch your chin and your tailbone in so that the upper back is going to rise as high as you can. And do a couple of evolutions of this. So inhale, drop the back, lift the head, lift the tailbone, relax the sternum, the chest, and exhale, push off of the hands, push off of the knees, drop the head, pull the tailbone in, pull the back up. And just do that a couple times. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Just some cat-cows. Really good. Stretching it out. Thread the needle. This is a fun one. So as you can see, you start in tabletop, and we can start with the right arm. So lift the right arm up in a twist, straight up to the ceiling. Left eye is tracking to the right fingers, to the right hand. And then exhale, thread the needle, take that hand and that arm underneath the opposite shoulder and drop it down to the floor, placing the side of your head onto the floor and extending your upper arm. If we did our right arm first, your right shoulder should be on the mat. And now use the weight of your body to put pressure down on that shoulder and then draw back. This is a great twist, back opener, shoulder stretch. It's really working with the entire community of postural muscles, neck, shoulder, and back. So if you are in the position, you can pull your left hand back in front of your head, push off of that left hand, lift your right arm up back into your twist, and float your right hand back down to the mat, finding yourself in tabletop. Now grounding your right hand into the mat, you're going to twist and lift your left arm up. And then exhale, bring it through underneath the right arm and drop that left shoulder all the way down to the floor. Once again, lifting your chin, resting the side of your head onto the floor, and extending your right arm over your head. Allowing gravity to just drop the weight into that left shoulder, and then use the weight against the floor to pull back, and you're going to feel an opening of that left trapezius muscle. Taking a couple of soothing breaths there. And when yoga teachers say drop inward, it's a very common cue, drop inward. It's really trying to engage your mind with what's happening in the body. So noticing any muscles, how they're reacting, how they're feeling as you're doing these stretches. So go ahead, pull your right hand in, place that in front of your face, push off of that hand, and then open up your left shoulder, lifting your arm all the way up and then coming back down into a tabletop. So if you're in practice now, everybody should be in tabletop. And we're going to move into a twist, sitting down on your glutes, and then finding yourself on your back here, pulling your knees into your chest. You can take your hands and grab the tops of your knees just below the knee. Pull the knees into the chest. Then we're going to open our arms wide, pulling our knees in and up the whole time that we're dropping them over to the right. You can drop them over to the right or to the left, either one. And then twist the neck in the opposite direction of the knees. Very gentle opening of the spine. You are also stretching your hips as well as your glutes. Supported postures are just very relaxing. Minimizing the pressure of the body. So go ahead and inhale, pull your knees back up towards the ceiling, take your gaze up towards the ceiling, and then twist over to the other side. Our goal in yoga is to balance the right side with the left. Taking a couple of breaths there. And coming back into neutral. Yoga for core focuses more on strengthening. There are a lot of core stretching as well. So what we're going to do today is Navasana, Ardha Navasana. So there is Sanskrit, which is an ancient Hindu language, and many yoga positions are often in classes referred to using this Sanskrit. Please feel free to ask your teacher if you need the English version and you're not understanding. Please feel free to ask your teacher to just use the English version. That is fine. Or you can always get through a class just by looking at your neighbor. So let's look at Navasana. So Navasana is if we're on our mats, transitioning from twist, the twist that we were just in. Sit up, place the bottoms of your feet onto the floor, and then take your hands underneath behind your hamstrings and pull yourself up into a V. So you want to feel your tailbone. So as you can see, our guy here, he has his tailbone on the mat. There we go. So he's got his tailbone on the mat. He is actually engaging those lower back muscles and engaging the core muscles here. So let's try to take Navasana. You can also bend the knee, and you can bend the knee right here and just have the legs coming straight out. Yogi's choice. So practice Navasana, and then you slowly go into Ardha Navasana. Keeping your shoulders off the ground, keeping your heels off the ground. So as you can see or feel, if you're doing this at home, you're contracting your core muscles here. So inhale, go back up to Navasana. This can get very hard very fast. And then exhale, drop your feet and take a moment to connect to how that felt. And it's a flood of awareness at times. And we say, judgment. We start to judge and we say, oh, I'm so weak. Or, oh, I'm not so bad. Or, wow, I didn't know I was that strong. The best thing we can do is let go of all of those thoughts and just keep practicing. So let's take 5. And if you want to do more, you can do more. So we're going to take full Navasana. Exhale, Ardha Navasana. Inhale back to full Navasana. And drop the feet for 1. Inhale Navasana. Exhale Ardha Navasana. Inhale Navasana. Drop the feet for 2. Inhale Navasana. Exhale Ardha. Inhale full. Drop the feet. 1 more. Inhale Navasana. See if you can go a little bit higher with the feet. Lift the chest a little bit higher. Exhale Ardha. Inhale full. Take it a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. Maybe your toes are reaching almost up to the ceiling. Dropping those feet and relax.
Okay, we have 2 questions about that specific pose.
Oh, okay.
On half Navasana, should the head be neutral?
That's a good question, and I love it because people are listening, because that looks like a forward head motion. Absolutely. I would say neutral would be better. So if I were to help him in class, I would have him drop his head a little bit. So, because as you can see, he does have a forward head. So if you want to drop your head back, you can do that to train for better alignment. Very good question.
And then the other question is, how do you keep from getting cramps in your muscles when you are in a full Navasana or a half Navasana?
I've always been told that one cause of cramps is dehydration. Dehydration can sound like a very strong word. We may just not have had enough water. I usually drink 3 or 4 glasses a day. If I teach a class and I'm low on water, I do get Charlie horses. And I get them sometimes really bad. So I have to take my knuckles and I get them in my feet if I'm doing camel or different positions. And I really have to breathe through the cramp, always back out of the muscle or the position if it gets too uncomfortable, and take care of the cramp if you need to do that. So once again, it's awareness of, is it tightening? If you're continuing to do the position and it continues to tighten, then you may want to back off. If it's loosening up, then you could go farther into the position. So this is once again bringing that mind awareness to what's happening to the body and making your adjustments to support where you are. Always breathe. Always breathe through it. All right, let's look at the next posture. And that is toe touch. So lift the legs straight up. Everybody's already in the position on their mats. And flex your feet. Take both hands and then inhale, reach up to your toes. Now you can do this consecutively. So you can take this is also a Pilates move. You can take this and just do 10 taps. So reach up 10 times. If you need me to count it out, 10, 9, 8. You should be pushing up to your toes. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. 4 contractions here. I like to do a couple of sets of these. We are at 6:32. We do have a few more positions, so I'm gonna keep us moving here. And we're gonna go to upward facing dog, which is a core opener. So I wanted to show this particular image because if you look at the back, farthest back, that is the least amount. That would be level 1. So if you would like to transition to your stomach, tops of your feet to the floor, and notice how her hands are down by her ribs. So you can have your hands under your shoulders. So I know you guys can't really see me here. Under your shoulders. And then you slide your hands down to your ribs. And you're pulling your elbows back and you're sliding your hands down on the floor. That's going to get deeper into the back muscles. So you can just do the level 1. Inhale, press up. See how that feels. See how that feels. Take a moment to say, am I stiff? Let me see if I can go a little bit deeper. Look at level 2. She's the one in the middle. She's pushing up a little bit more. So this is a really nice back bend. We're opening up all of our glutes here, our glutes and our abdominal muscles. And notice how she's lifting her chin and also opening up the neck muscles. And then full upward facing dog is the 3rd level. You can actually press down on the tops of the feet, engage your quads, and lift your quads. And that's even opening up the stomach a little bit more. Those of you who are trying that at home. And you can drop down, you can relax. And my favorite thing to say is explore, discover, learn, and adjust. I say that in class a lot. And just get accustomed to doing that. So we have some yoga for the hips as well. If you're sitting in your chair, I know we're over time. Are we okay, Leah? Do we have time for just 4 more positions?
Of course.
Okay. I'm just over here talking away. I really wish we were all in class together. I love it. So here, if you're sitting on your chair, this is another one that's really easy to do when you're sitting at your desk. Just pull your right ankle over on top of your left knee. And it's nice if you put your left hand underneath that foot. In this particular picture, they're on top of the toes. You can actually have so much fun with this with your feet as well. You can press down on the tops of your toes, get into the top of your ankle. You can do some ankle circles here. You can even take your right hand and you can press down on that outer knee. And you're really getting into the hips here. So let's switch our knees. I'm doing it with you. Crossing my left ankle over my right knee. Doing some ankle circles. Pressing down on my toes. Pressing down on the inside of my left knee. You can sit like this for a while when you're at your desk. There's an art and a science to yoga in that the longer you hold a stretch, the deeper and the longer your muscles will lengthen. So any of you have taken a yin yoga class, positions are typically held for at least 2 minutes, which is long for us. But a real true yin yoga class, you could sit in a position for 20 minutes and you're opening up your muscles. You can just relax and breathe through it. So for hips, windshield wipers. If you're sitting in your chair and you want to get back down on your mat, on your back. And then you take your feet almost to the outer edges of your mat. So spread your feet to the outer edges of your mat. And then bend your knees. And then you're just going to drop them over to the right. And you can move your head in the opposite direction of your legs. And then you're going to lift your knees and drop them over to the left and turn your head in the opposite direction. So you're literally windshield wipering. And this feels so good on the lower back and the hips. Just having fun with that twist. So I tried to show here. She has her legs together in this right visual. Let's see. She has her legs together. I like legs wide. So I tried to show you doing it legs wide and legs together. You can do them both. And whatever your teacher's preference is not yours. So this is, once again, what's going on with your body and doing what's best for you. Moving on, we have downward facing dog to pigeon. So if there's any adventurous ones out there that are on your mat, you can look at the left image and get into downward facing dog. How I would cue that as a teacher is you're grounding your palms into the mat, spreading your fingers wide, pushing off of the hands, dropping the chest, and lifting the tailbone high. Here, you could have both feet on the mat, or as you can see, she has inhaled, lifted her right leg, and then you can bend that knee and pull it to underneath your right armpit and drop down into pigeon. So the image on the left is actually showing you how you can transition your right leg right into pigeon. Now, there's 2 major muscles that you can stretch in pigeon. So if you look at the image on the right, she's really pulled her shin almost parallel. So she's pulled her foot almost parallel. That is actually stretching your outer IT band that goes from your outer hip to your knee. Causes a lot of problems for people. A lot of people use rollers and they roll the side of their hip all the way down to their knee. And so if you pull your shin more forward, you're getting more into that IT band. If you pull your heel closer into your opposite hip, you're actually stretching more of a piriformis muscle. But once again, it's a community of muscles. So this position, it's gonna hit both of them. How you position your foot is going to open up one muscle, vice the other. So once again, it's just what you need in your practice. So if you're in pigeon, throughout all this talking, go ahead and go back into downward facing dog, planting your hands on your mat, tucking your back toe under, pushing off of your hands and lifting that leg high up behind you, dropping it back down into downward facing dog, and then inhaling your opposite leg up high, Exhaling, bending that knee underneath the same armpit as the same leg that you're bending. Bring that under, drop it down. Find your pigeon. If you want to pull your shin forward, using your foot, pull it forward. You'll find out pretty quickly where it's going to stop. Your body's going to tell you pretty quick when you're going to get tight here. Or you can just pull it in. It feels kind of safe. It feels kind of comfortable to just pull that heel in and then fold the body forward. So I do not have an image of that in here. However, you can walk your hands forward and you can rest on your forearms. You can place your forearms, rest your head on your forearms, or you can just try to reach your hands and your arms as far forward as you can. That's going to be your deepest stretch. And continuing to walk the hands forward. The inhale is known as yin and the feminine side. We're filling our body, we're activating our whole body on that inhale. And the exhale is considered yang, releasing, relaxing, surrendering to gravity. So take your deep inhales here. And then exhale, release all the muscles, drop them deeper into the pose. Using that breath to help you deepen your yoga postures. If you're in pigeon, you can relax there. I'm really proud of you guys. You really hung in. So proud of you guys. There's lots of modifications to pigeon. Here's just one modification. As you can see, you can just sit up and sit down on your hip. You can also walk and twist your trunk of your body. So if you want to try the position on the screen, you can walk your hands over to the right and twist the entire trunk of your body, and then walk it to the opposite side and twist the body. If you want to try that. Both sides. And just exploring. So those are our 4 hip stretches. I haven't been to a yoga class that does not end in Savasana. Once again, that is a Sanskrit term, and it stands for deep relaxation. So if you'd like to find your way on your backs, sometimes Savasana with legs extended can put a strain on the lower back depending on what's going on in your body. So if you would like to bend your knees, place the bottoms of your feet onto your mat, and you can allow your knees to open out to the side, which is Bakasana. If you have a block, I know we didn't say anything about bringing any props, but if you have a block, you could actually place that underneath your hips in Savasana. And that is a supine back bend. Just placing a block underneath your hips in Savasana can really open up the lumbar spine, really open up the hips. Just staying in that for a couple of minutes, 2 to 5 minutes. There is a formula. They say for every hour of yoga, you should take at least 5 minutes of deep relaxation, because it allows you to integrate all of the knowledge that you've gained from the exercises that you've performed. and take note of what's tight, what's loose, maybe something you want to work on, maybe something you want to open, or an area you want to strengthen. I had a yoga teacher look right at me and say, your gluteus minimus on your left side is really weak. And I had no idea. I was like, okay, because I wasn't holding up as high. So just continuing this learning and this growth. And that brings us to our last slide this evening. So I just encourage everyone to release any stigma that we have against movements. And I somewhat connect that with being in an office space. I think just sitting in our chairs and being in cubes or maintaining a professional persona, sometimes we move very stiffly and we don't feel like we can really move around. Try to release any stigma against movement and get used to moving and stretching several times a day, a week, no matter where you are. No matter where you are. And if you're comfortable with it, the people around you will gain a comfort with it. And someone might come up and crack a joke or make a comment. Well, guess what? You're influencing them in such a positive direction. You're helping others get comfortable with moving and stretching, improving your posture, and just being more comfortable in your own body.
Thank you so much, Kate. Do we have any final questions before we all take this relaxation that we are now feeling into our evenings? The slides and the recording will be shared with all of you by the end of the week. And Kate, thank you again for such an informational and useful class. And I hope that you all are able to use this in your everyday life. All right. Have a good evening,
Thanks for
everybody.
coming.
Bye.